Have you ever wondered about the people who almost never post on social media? The ones who scroll quietly, who might like a photo here or watch a story there, but rarely, if ever, put their own life on display. Maybe you know someone like this, or maybe you are that person yourself. It's strange, isn't it? In a world where posting has become the norm, where daily updates, selfies, and constant sharing feel almost like social currency, choosing silence is almost louder than words. And yet, millions of people live this way, invisible by choice. And the question is, why? What does it reveal about their psychology, about the way they see themselves, others, and the world? The truth is, people who don't post aren't simply antisocial or out of touch. That's too shallow an explanation. What's happening runs deeper. It touches on identity, self-worth, fear, freedom, and the human need for meaning. And once you understand it, you'll never look at silence online the same way again. But before we dive in, let me tell you something fascinating. Psychologists have found that people who avoid posting often fall into two groups: those who withhold because of fear, and those who withhold because of power. Fear, because they worry about being judged, misunderstood, or rejected. Power, because by holding back, they protect their mystery, their sense of self, and their energy. Isn't that interesting? The same silence can come from insecurity, or from strength. So let's open this loop together. Why do some people choose not to post in a world where everyone else is desperate to? And what does that silence actually say? Think about this. Social media thrives on validation. Every like, comment, and share becomes a tiny shot of dopamine to the brain. Over time, people start tying their worth to these invisible numbers. But those who don't post, they've either stepped away from this game, or they've never wanted to play it at all. Their psychology works differently. They don't need external confirmation to feel real. They're either deeply independent or sometimes deeply afraid of being measured. And both are very human. Here's something subtle you may not have noticed. When someone doesn't post, it doesn't mean they don't have stories to tell. It often means they guard those stories like treasures. Their life isn't absent of meaning. It's full of it. They just prefer that meaning to be lived, not displayed. It's the difference between keeping a diary in your drawer versus publishing it on a blog. One feels safe, personal, sacred. The other feels exposed. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Research in social psychology suggests that people who post less often experience less social comparison. When you're not constantly in the spotlight, you're less likely to measure yourself against the highlight reels of others. That can lead to a quieter, more grounded sense of happiness. In other words, silence online can sometimes mean peace within. But let's not romanticize it completely. There's another side. For some people, not posting doesn't come from peace, but from fear. They worry. What if my life isn't interesting enough? Or, what if people don't respond? They feel invisible, not by choice, but by hesitation. And so they stay in the shadows, watching everyone else's stage, but never stepping onto it themselves. It's a paradox. Sometimes the very people who feel the deepest things are the ones who share the least. Have you ever felt that tension yourself? That moment where you think about posting something personal, then stop, delete, and walk away. Why? Was it because you didn't want to be judged? Or was it because the moment felt too precious to give away? That choice, the pause before hitting post, reveals everything about where your psychology falls. And here's where the loop deepens. Because silence online doesn't mean silence in life. In fact, studies show that many of the people who don't post are often the most observant. While others broadcast, they absorb. They notice details, emotions, undercurrents. They are often the quiet thinkers, the ones who live more in the present than in the performance of the present. They might not upload their dinner, but they remember the way the conversation felt at the table. This is why their silence can feel so magnetic. It's as if they're playing a different game entirely. In a culture built on visibility, they've chosen invisibility, and invisibility has its own strange kind of power. But here's the twist. Does that power last? In a world where social connection increasingly runs through platforms, does staying silent come with hidden costs? Could the refusal to post also limit opportunities, connections, even belonging? We'll get to that. But first, let's sit with this thought. Silence on social media doesn't mean absence of voice. It often means that voice is expressed elsewhere, in art, in private conversations, in quiet acts of kindness, in unposted photographs that sit in a gallery of memory instead of a digital feed. The psychology of people who don't post is not emptiness. It's an alternative expression of fullness. And yet, we can't ignore the other truth. In a world that rewards visibility, silence can sometimes feel like invisibility. And for some, that invisibility hurts. They want to speak, but the weight of expectation is too heavy. So which is it? Silence as strength or silence as fear? And how can we tell the difference? Hold that thought, because in the next part of this journey, we'll unravel the deeper layers, the hidden costs and hidden freedoms of choosing not to post. And more importantly, what this reveals about our own search for meaning in a world that is always watching. Silence online isn't black or white. For some, it's strength, a shield, a boundary. In a culture of oversharing, restraint becomes rebellion. My life isn't performance. My worth isn't likes. For others, silence is fear. They want to be seen but dread judgment. Their posts stay in drafts, their words unsaid. Silence becomes hesitation, the weight of what if. Both truths exist. We crave recognition but fear exposure. Social media only magnifies this tension. Many people lurk, connected yet invisible. Like sitting in a corner at a party, sometimes empowering, sometimes lonely. Silence can also mean depth. Non-posters may live more fully, away from filters and algorithms. They're harder to define, forcing us to connect offline. Yet silence has risks, lost opportunities, wrong assumptions, overlooked value. So what's the lesson? It's not about how much you post, but why. If silence is fear, the journey is healing it. If it's strength, it's a proud boundary. Either way, your worth isn't measured in posts. Imagine if tomorrow everyone stopped posting. Would we panic or rediscover slower, deeper forms of connection? In the end, posting or silence is about psychology, not technology. Both seek the same human need, connection. So the next time you see someone who doesn't post, don't assume they're empty. Maybe their silence says more than words ever could.